My name is Jack, and I never believed in ghosts until I moved into Oakridge Manor. It was a charming old house nestled at the edge of town, surrounded by tall oak trees and hidden in an eerie fog that seemed to linger no matter the weather. Little did I know that this seemingly idyllic home would become a living nightmare that would haunt me forever. The moment I stepped through the creaky front door, a cold chill crawled down my spine. The air inside was heavy and oppressive, like a suffocating presence lurking in every corner. I shook off the feeling, chalking it up to my imagination running wild. I had purchased the house at a steal after all, and dismissed any peculiarities as mere quirks of an old dwelling. Soon after moving in, strange things started to happen. Doors would slam shut on their own, and eerie whispers echoed through the halls when I was alone. My belongings seemed to move around when I wasn't looking, and I often caught fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures out of the corner of my eye. I tried to dismiss these occurrences as figments of my imagination, but as the days passed, they grew more frequent and unsettling. One night, as I lay in bed, I heard a series of haunting cries that echoed through the walls. They sounded like the tormented wails of lost souls, crying out in agony from some unseen realm. Fear gripped my heart, and I rushed outside, hoping the fresh air would clear my mind. But the cries followed me, growing louder and more haunting with each step. Determined to unravel the mystery, I dug into the history of Oakridge Manor. It turned out the house had a dark past, one that the previous owners had kept hidden. A century ago, a family had lived there, a family that fell victim to a gruesome murder-suicide. The father, consumed by madness, had slain his wife and children before taking his own life in the very bedroom I now slept in. Armed with this unsettling knowledge, I decided to seek help from a local psychic, Mrs. Eliza, who was known for her unique ability to commune with spirits. Her home was as eerie as Oakridge Manor, filled with strange artifacts and a musty odor that clung to the air like a haunting memory. As I shared my experiences with Mrs. Eliza, her eyes grew wide with concern. She confirmed my worst fears. The house was indeed haunted by the vengeful spirits of the murdered family. The psychic explained that they were trapped in a never-ending loop of agony, seeking revenge for the horrors they endured. Terrified, I asked if there was a way to free the spirits and rid the house of their malevolence. Mrs. Eliza informed me of a ritual, a dangerous and ancient rite that involved confronting the spirits and appealing to their humanity. I hesitated, but the thought of escaping this nightmare pushed me forward. The ritual was to be performed at midnight, the hour when the boundary between the living and the dead was at its weakest. Armed with candles, salt, and a talisman, I ventured into the heart of the haunted manor. The air was thick with dread, and the darkness seemed to press down on me like an oppressive weight. As the clock struck midnight, I began the ritual, calling out to the spirits with trembling words. The temperature dropped, and an eerie silence enveloped the house. Suddenly, the room was awash with an otherworldly light, and the apparitions of the murdered family materialized before me. Their eyes were hollow voids, filled with anger and despair. With all the courage I could muster, I pleaded with them to find peace and release their vengeful grip on the living. The spirits wailed, their cries shaking the very foundation of the house. But as I persisted, their expressions softened, and tears seemed to form in their ghostly eyes. In a hauntingly soft voice, the spirit of the mother spoke, recounting the atrocities that had befallen them all those years ago. She begged for forgiveness, not for herself, but for the tormented soul of her husband, the one whose madness had sparked the tragedy. In that moment, my heart ached with empathy, and I realized that the spirits were not malevolent beings, but tortured souls. They were victims of a past that refused to let them go, trapped in a cycle of pain and revenge. With tears streaming down my face, I reached out to the spirits, offering them my forgiveness. Slowly, the house began to tremble, and an overwhelming sensation of peace washed over me. The spirits faded away, their tormented faces replaced by serene expressions, as if they had finally found the solace they sought. As the last trace of the haunting disappeared, I knew Oakridge Manor was finally free from its troubled past. I moved out soon after, leaving the house to stand as a reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. Now, I tell my story, hoping to caution others about the dangers of ignoring the history that lies dormant within old buildings. Spirits, it seems, never truly leave. They linger, seeking resolution and redemption. And though my haunted chapter may have ended, I still hear whispers in the wind and catch fleeting glimpses of the other side. A reminder that the paranormal world exists just beyond our reach, waiting to be acknowledged or forgotten at our own peril.